Good morning, everyone. Good morning, sir. I am the first presenter, Noare Galela. So today, I'm going to talk about what is development communication according to Gabriel and how Gabriel defines development communication. So first, let's talk about what is development communication. According to Gabriel, 1971, development communication as the art and science of human communication applied to the speedy transformation of country and the mass of its people from poverty to dynamic state of economic growth that makes possible greater social equality and larger fulfillment of the human potential. So, development communication, sumala kang Gabriel, 1971, arte og siyensya sa tawhanong communication nga gipahamtang sa paspas sa pag-uswag usa ka nasud og kadaghanang katawhanan gikan sa kabos ngadto sa usa ka dinamikong kahimtang sa ekonomikong paglambok nagtugot sa labaw sa panagdait sa kantilingban og labaw nga pagtao sa potensyal nga tawhanon. So now let me explain each italicized word phrase to better understand how Gabriel defines development communication. First is art. Developing requires creativity in communication message through the use of various communication media and materials. The aesthetic aspect is an art of consideration and communication. Because first, you have to gain the attraction and attention of your learner or your audience before she decides to read or listen to your message. Practicing the art of human communication not only entails the aesthetic designing and presentation of message or what we call hard or concrete art. It also being creative in the practice of the field, such as in conducting interviews. So, gipasabot sa art sa development communication, kinahanglan ang kreatibidad sa pagkomunikar sa mga mensahe pinaagi sa lain lang media o sa aspekto ng estetika. Importante kayo arong makuha imo atensyon sa mga tinunan o audience. So now let's talk about science development. Is a social science like other social science fields. It uses the scientific method to enrich its own field through research where theories and principles can be derived and applied to development problems. Furthermore, it applies systematic methods in making decisions and planning how to effectively carry out communication intervention when using communication as an intervention in waste management. In our community, the scientific method is to observe, identify the basic problem. It's a matter of educating the problem identification, household or the garbage collectors, gather data about the what is knowledge level problem, data gathering of the community or the garbage collectors in waste management. Do you know and practice waste segregation survey. Develop a test materials will people be more conscious method or new communication waste management or do process hypothesis need try another approach. Next is human communication development. Human communication development is whether it utilizes interpersonal channels or mass media or whether it is a practice at various levels, individuals, group or organization, international, national, provincial, sectoral program, or at the grassroots. The key players in the DevCom are people. The field itself is more about people than technology. Perhaps this is one more distinct feature of development communication when compared with other communication sciences. It is people-centered, so gipasabot na ang development communication mao'y tawhanong komunikasyon dili lamang teknolohiya og gitutok kini sa mga tao tao. Next is speedy transformation. So development communication serves as a catalyst for rapid social change achieving in a shorter time what would typically take years, exemplified by its role in addressing issues like low-cost infestation through effective information dissemination and community mobilization. So, pasabutan na nga, ang development communication daw, maoy nag-action isip usa sa kusog alang sa paspas nga transformasyon sa katalingban nga nakabuot mas korton nga panahon kaysa sa kinabot nga hinungdan. Next is people. Development communication involves motivating diverse groups, including farmers, fisher folk, workers, housewives, and youth to transform their habits, lifestyle, thinking, and action across cognitive, affective, and psychomotor domains, emphasizing the need for a comprehensive approach. The communication efforts extend beyond an end user, engaging decision makers in government and private sector, recognizing their pivotal role in funding and shaping development projects. So, as influencing their ideas is a crucial for successful implementation. Several insights on the practitioners need win over the influential group. So, gipasabot ng development communication naglapit sa pagsugod og kusog sa lain-laing grupo aron pag-uhon ng ilang mga batasan o pag-iangay sa mga nag-deserve sa mga gobyerno o pribadong sektor. Yung danon along sa magtagumpay na implementasyon sa mga proyekto sa kauswag. Last on how Gabriel defines development communication. Poverty. The paramount challenge for development communication practitioners is addressing the multidimensional nature of poverty, understanding its manifestation among landless farmers, unified mothers, and uneducated laborers primarily located in rural areas, emphasizing the importance of targeted efforts in rural and agricultural development, as outlined by Michael Lazaro's insights. Recognizing the need to not only comprehend who the poor are, but also where they are and the characteristic development. Communication practitioner plays a crucial role in directing policies and interventions towards rural and agricultural development to effectively alleviate poverty. So, gipasabot na ang kadakong hagit sa alang sa mga practitioners sa development communication mao ang pag-angkon sa malapad nga kahimtang sa kabus ilawom ng kahibalo sa ilang pagpakita o pagtuon sa.
So for my part, the topic that I will discuss is the dynamic state of economic growth, greater social equality, and the larger fulfillment of human potentials. So the goals that they've conveyed, first of all, feel for the nation of any nations are the three dynamic states of economic growth, greater social equality, and the larger fulfillment of the human potentials. Consider that the Quibrel set these goals more than 30 years ago. These are the pretty much related to what development planners now refer to as the triple bottom line: economic goals, social goals, and environmental goals. So these are the goals of sustainable development. So why do we describe development as a dynamic? It is because development is a continuous process. Why do we aim a greater social development? It is because the gap between the rich and the poor is becoming wider and wider. So we need to narrow this widening gap as the fulfillment of the human potentials. And remember our discussion on the second development decade in chapter 3, where quoted by Dudley Sears, who credited Mahatma Gandhi for this praise. We agreed that with Gandhi that human societies, like human beings, are constantly evolving towards perfections. Achieving this desired state should never be hampered by man himself. At the individual level, we should make people realize and conscious of their potentials and capabilities. And the societal levels, we should contribute the achievement of a desired state. So what DevCom is not, Quirrell 1988. So further elucidates that the development communication is, number one, is not publicity per se or gaining the maximum media exposure. So for someone or something, for an image building, the DevCom practitioner uses the same media that publicist does, but the difference lies in the purpose why that the DevCom uses this media. The DevCom practitioner uses this media to stimulate public awareness and understanding the planned charge. Number two is not mass communication alone. So DevCom uses any available channel that will achieve its goals. So these channels could be meetings with a barangay, constituents, and the demonstration plot, a course curriculum, and a song or a stage play. So number three is more than slides or a leaflet or seminar. DevCom is an approach or a point view that sizes up a problem of a people in the overcoming barriers in reaching them. So number four is the not source oriented but in audience oriented. The end uses the informations we communicate is the top priority and guide us in making decisions on how the best to communicate in it. And it's not the us that matters, but the receivers of the informations. DevCom is not is thinking of ways on how the people understand and use information to improve their lives. And the last one, number five, is not only exercise and professions, but it is a commitment to social goals. The DevCom practitioner is more than a worker. He is a social worker with a sense and mission to mankind, his country, and the ideals of a development. So yeah. So Lynn's perspective. The preceding discussions was based on the Quirrell view, that of an insider. In the following paragraphs, we will see how an external observer, John Lynn, 1977, a Western media observer and a journalism professor, talks about the development communication and how it can impinge on a press freedom and be synonymous with the government control of media in the third world. Lent observes that the development communications has been used as a major government tool in numerous development countries. So the third world governments realizes that if media should be used in planning and implementing the national development strategies, then they had to control the media. So this realization causes two value systems to clash head on. One should DevCom use as a watchdog of a government, meaning the press hounding the government and supervising the public goods, and should DevCom use as a lapdog government, meaning and the press defers to an authority and become a national development tool. He cites Asians and African nations where government takes newspapers and other media as government properties scrutinize and screens foreign and domestic news. In China, the media were used to promote a national ideological campaigns at the global level. Observes that the development communication is ended and work, although different way. At a 1971 UNESCO meeting in Paris, there was a proposal to organize a national communications policy, considered the made of opinion letters in each country unit. UNESCO envisions these units to systematize national communications planning that will eventually promote plan educations and use and social change. UNESCO will serve as a coordinating neutral agent at the planning and search levels. That the proposals was severely criticized by international advocates of press freedom. So these advocates were one in saying that UNESCO induced governments to tighten media control, The formation of this communication is the planning the units were tested in Latin America. And yet, still the new systems was hit left and right after the findings of the test were disclosed, and it is remain unresolved up to now. So, cybernetic definition. A more recent definition of DEVCOM Floor 1922 somewhat deviates from that of Kerbal conceptuality. This definition borrows extensively from systems thinking and may be referred to as the social cybernetic definition of a development communication. So in chapter 8, we discussed the branch of system theory that related directly to communication cybernetics. We also said that its founder, Norbert Wiener, primarily considered the cybernetics to be a human science rather than a technical field. However, with the proliferation of cybernetic inventions such as the smart bomb and the cruise missiles, scientists find it convenient to differentiate cybernetic engineering and social cybernetics, the latter referring to the study of directional behavior of social systems. Personally, I submit that as a grand theory, development communications find its best rational in social cybernetics. Essentially, DEVCOM may be described as the communications that prevents or corrects deviations from a prescribed social path. Ordinarily, as in the case of development support, communications is related supportive role in the development process, and DEVCOM communication takes a central role in the development. So ideal or end states. A society is the most complicated social system. As a system made up of living beings, it is considered a living system, and like all living systems, it should have a desired goal or statement. This purpose is that determines its reasons for being. These end states may be described as the total development, or one that allows the larger fulfillment of the human potentials, or the full achievement of a triple bottom line. It may also be running target that leads social systems to a higher and higher evolutional states, a constant movement towards perfections, arriving at the desired states or moving towards it at the earliest or fastest possible time, and necessitates movements along prescribed path. The shortest one is available towards the goal. So DEVCOM Negentropic as the second law of a thermodynamics dictates all the systems, including the societies, are susceptible to entropy, the tendency to go into a state of lesser organizations. Hence, the social system deviates from the desired path because of a entropy. As in all systems, entropy can only be countered with the information as mentioned earlier. So the science of cybernetics is all about the applications of informations to negative entropy. So the process of obtaining, delivering, or exchanging these informations, the movement of this information is the development communication. And the social or societal level. In jargon, societal cybernetics assumes that the social systems and organisms or organisms by nature are purposive or goal-oriented systems. Entropy is a tendency in all systems. Information is negentropic. Negentropic initiatives within a social systems may be referred to a development communications. So yeah. It is a quite appropriate that the word development originated from a biology is applied to organisms, since cybernetics and systems theory are more appropriately applied to living systems. One dimension that has been neglected thus far is in the fact that the desired goal changes in the space and time. So yeah. Negontropic initiatives should always be considerate of these changes. It is like playing Chinese baseball, where the bases change locations every time the ball is in the flight. So that's all for my part. Thank you so much for listening.
So, good morning, sir. Good morning, classmate. This is chapter 9, the values of development communication. So, here we have three major values. 1, it is purposive. 2, it is pragmatic. 3, it is value laden. First, we communicate not only to inform, but also to influence the behavior of the receiver of information. Second, to be pragmatic means being results oriented. Also means check out the factors that contribute to the success or failure of a communication program, like asking yourself, did I achieve my objectives? Third, information sources, consciously or unconsciously, assign values to every message they communicate. So we assume that there is an attached value in every message the one communicates, stated by Hamias or Jamias 1975. Development is in itself a value-laden word. It is not a neutral word, stated by Quibral 1988. DevCom and other allied fields. Aside from these communication fields, DevCom is also a close relative of agri-journalism, agri-extension, education, and basic social science, like sociology, psychology, and economics. And here we have mass communication. Masscom is a media-centric and more broader general, while DevCom is a message-centric and more unspecific. Communication arts. Communication arts aim to acculturate man, while DevCom educates man. DevCom aims to teach a man to improve his life by knowing how to provide for himself and his family the basic needs. So if you're familiar with Maslow's hierarchy of needs, DevCom aims to help man fulfill the very base, whereas ComArts aims for the higher needs of man in the hierarchy. Advertising. Similarity of advertising and DevCom is their purpose to inform and pursue. Instead of advertising, we call it social marketing. Their difference: advertising is more direct, while DevCom is more into information. For example, we just have to sell a product, while in DevCom they will not only sell the product, but give its pros and cons. Agricultural extension. The shared goal of agri-extension and DevCom is economic development. Following are uniqueness of each fields. Number 1. Agri-extension was initiated and practiced in the West, while DevCom grew in third world setting. In other words, DevCom is homegrown. Number 2. Agri-extension limits itself to the delivery of agri-information. As in DevCom, not only agri, but other concerns like health, population, economy, nutrition, forestry, and even in the environment. So here in table 9.1, development communication, dito makikita mo yung similarities at differences ng other fields sa DevCom. So, yung natakol ko na discussions kaina about yun sa mga differences and similarities nila. So, if man hindi nyo masyado na-gets yung discussions ko kaina, dyan sa table 9.1, dyan nyo makikita yung summarize ng discussions ko kaina. A historical perspective. How did development communication begin? The idea of communication as a support to development came from Erskine or Erskine Childers back in the 1960s. Erskine Childers was then the director of UNDP Development Support Service in Bangkok. Apart from that, not only the UNDP supported it, but also the UNICEF. Childers' idea was then pursued in the 1970s by Nora C. Quibral, who was then chair of the Department of Agricultural Communications, University of the Philippines College of Agriculture. Her seminal paper, Development Communication in an Agricultural Context, was presented in the symposium titled In Search of Breakthroughs in Agricultural Development. Globalization facilitated by GATT, WTO, or the General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade, World Trade Organization, decentralization and local autonomy, social protection, and ethnic conflicts. Office of Extension and Publications of the UP College of Agriculture in 1954. Office was created to disseminate information useful in improving farming and homemaking practices, and to inform the public about the results of research being done by Los Baños scientists. So, in 1962, it was converted into the Department of Agricultural Information and Communications under CA, and its first curricular offering was the Bachelor of Science in Agricultural Communications. In 1965, a master's degree program offered. In 1968, it was renamed into the Department of Agricultural Communications. So, in 5 years later, in 1973, the master's program was reconstituted into a DevCom program. A year after, the undergraduate curriculum in DevCom was instituted. The following year, the Department of DevCom was born. In 1977, the doctoral program was offered. The department grew into an institute in 1987 and was elevated into a College of Development Communication in 1998. So, I guess yun na lang yung discussions ko all about. And yes, that's it.